Now, I don't know if it was in direct response to the video I made, but someone linked me a video of a YouTuber gaming something. I don't know. I don't really care. But they were saying that it debunked what I was saying, okay, about the Samsung S90D losing 61% of brightness. I got the math wrong. Again, thank you for the ones who pointed that out. I'm not a mathematician. But I do know my equipment, my gear, and how to take measurements really well. Now, from what I understand, he's using a phone application to try to debunk me who's using professional equipment. Yeah, that already should tell you everything you need to know about this video. You can't use a fucking phone and expect accurate readings. You need a colorimeter. And if you don't know what that is, I'll show you what kind of gear you need. So we're going to do this in real time. This is the first piece of gear I use and that you're going to need, okay? This is a portrait display VideoForge Pro 8K. This is going to be your test pattern generator. It's how you get it to read and talk to Cowman and to put up all that stuff, okay? Now, outside of that wonderful piece of gear, you're going to need something like this, okay? Open it up and pull it out. This is an X-Rite i1 Display Pro colorimeter and spectrophotometer. In English, it measures color and brightness. You need this because it takes accurate reading. This is one of the preferred brands, X-Rite, because what they specialize in is more so getting things correct for photography, which is why I bought this one. That's pretty much the main thing that they specialize in. So you know color is going to be one of the main things they focus on. But again, you have a brightness rating of give or take 1,000 nits, but you can go well beyond that. They only guarantee accuracy up to, it was like 1,000 nits or something like that. And then we have this little model right here, because you never just have one piece of gear, right? You always got to buy more, okay? This is a X-Rite Color Checker Display Plus. It has a 2,000 nit guarantee rating for color accuracy and brightness accuracy and all that good nonsense. And it does the same thing. It's basically this with a different name and a little bit more brightness. Now, the beautiful thing about having these two pieces of gear is that you can measure the luminance and the color, and you can do it appropriately if you have adequate software, not chafa, cheap, lesser software like what you would get on a smartphone app. Real calibration software that actual professionals use. Now, at the risk of sounding pompous, again, I'm not trying to disrespect anybody, but this is the software you actually need. It's called Cowman for Business or Cowman Studio. The beautiful thing about this is it's a professional application for actual professionals that run all of these types of calibrations, not a phone app. So it's made for the actual serious professional, cost about $2,000, and it has the most cutting edge accurate readings that you could get out of calibration software today. Now, to do these measurements, we're gonna fire on our portrait display VideoForge Pro 8K, okay? That's the first step to turning this on. And just so nobody complains, we're gonna use the Color Checker Display Plus, okay? I'm also using the Q8FN from 2018, an entirely different TV that has been firmwared up the wazoo, where I have similarly said it has been nerfed, the brightness has been taken away, and we're gonna give you the percentage as to what they stole from this TV. This is something Samsung has been doing for years, and the most murky water you could get with challenging an expert like myself, I have TVs to go in the backlog and give you an entirely different TV to show you the exact same theft. But don't just take my word for it, I will show you on video in real time. So to walk you through a little bit of the more boring parts, we're just right now finding our source, which for us is our VideoForge Pro, and we're just going to go ahead and hit connect, let it find and connect, okay? So that's what we've got right now. Sometimes it'll automatically pick up and say VideoForge Pro 8K, sometimes it doesn't really matter. Now, you have a couple different options here. I have the LED LCD quantum dot selected, but typically I do like to use raw XYZ. That's typically the more accurate way of reading these things. But since it's the Q8FN, it's a quantum dot television, so we're gonna use quantum dot just so everybody feels better, because some people were complaining that the results were different because we used raw XYZ. And you're gonna see again, the same Samsung theft with firmware over time destroying your product. And that's what this video really is highlighting and calling attention to. Not so much a YouTuber, just so much showing that you can't use an application. You need actual professional software to test these things to hold these companies accountable. Okay, now it's time to walk you through my process. Yes, everything's gonna look oversaturated. I'm on a cell phone and it's boosting the saturation to try to make everything look better. That's just what cell phones do. But what I will showcase is this, okay? So we're in the Spears & Munsell UHD benchmarking disc, okay? For those who are aware, this is the disc that I'm using, okay? Spears & Munsell hand-forged video right there. This is the 2023 variation of it, okay? You can see all the goodness right here. This is what you're going to need, or what I technically prefer to use when I do these types of brightness tests, because I think this is just a superior way of doing it, okay? And you see right there, 2023, okay? So I like to do this on an Xbox because it's a 4K player, right? Or an right now I'm using an Xbox One X, the Project Scorpio version of that, okay? And in doing that, I go to the analysis tab, okay? I go to this right here, which is peak versus size. And this is just gonna give you your windows that I always talk about, your windows of brightness, okay? So we're gonna select a 1% window to start things off, okay? And there you have it, okay? So now, in our calibration software, what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to set everything up. So the easiest thing I like to do is go over here to the tab called Luminance. Now I am in the SDR manual calibration workflow because we're using SDR and we're going to measure luminance. And we're just going to go ahead and hit read continuous at the bottom. Now it's going to take its readings. The first thing you're going to notice is it's not very high. If you know TVs, you know the characteristic of the 2018 Samsung Q8FN is that it just dims because it's trying to preserve highlights. So it would dim the highlights down, but that's gonna change once you go into your settings and then you just open up anything really. And so what I'm just gonna do is I'm gonna go here, right? And I'm just gonna select this because I know this is gonna make it ramp up. And what you'll notice is the brightness now is starting to go up. This is how I do it on TVs that have that weird little thing. And it's just sitting there with the menu so you can see, like, again, on a 1% window with something on the screen, you get about 1500 nits. That ain't bad, okay? That ain't bad at all. It's not perfect, but it ain't bad. Now, we're gonna go ahead now and change the 1% window, okay? And we're going to go to a 2% window. Again, in a similar fashion, it's ramping up. And again, we have about the same 1500 nits, right? Wonderful. This test is to show you that there is nothing wrong with my gear or the way that I do things to get measurements, okay? We'll go back again, waiting for the software to respond, or rather the controller to respond since it turned off again. Okay. Then we're going to go down to did we do a 2% window? I believe we just did, but we could do it again. I don't really care, right? 2% window. When it first comes in, it comes in hot and heavy, but then it does start to dim considerably because that's just the characteristic of this TV. So even if you didn't have anything on the screen, for people like, that's not the right way to measure, I mean, you're still sitting at 1400 nits. I just know from experience that if I go into my settings and then I just have a little element, like, again, let's just do the aspect ratio and just have it sit there, I know for a fact that number is going to start to rise considerably. As you're seeing now, we're at 1500 nits. So that shows you, like, when there's real content on the screen, the numbers are just going to be higher and you're going to be closer to 1500 nits on a 2% window than if you were to just leave it doing the local dimming thing, because it's not always going to happen like that, because the problem is it's a static box and it's not really moving, so it's dimming down to try to preserve and stop blooming. That's just what it's trying to do. We'll now go to a 5% window, doing again the same exact thing. Okay, and we're at a little over 1300 nits, about high 1360s, right? That ain't bad. Okay, and again, That's on a 10% window, I believe, or whatever we are, 5% window. Yeah, we're on the 5% window where we're getting that. Okay? Now, if you remember what rtings.com was showing you, it shows you that a 10% window is about at a 1300 nit rating. So you're clearly seeing a direct correlation with what rtings is getting and what I'm getting. Their numbers were slightly higher at, again, 1397, and I'm at 1360s, give or take. So that does show a decrease in brightness, does it not? And that's after firmware. Okay, so now we're going to do a 10% window. And we start off at 1572, and that's with no box or anything over our window. And you can see it goes up and it goes down. Variable level for all of this stuff. Okay. Now I'm going to go back into my settings. I like to just do this to make sure I'm seeing the absolute peak that a window like this could have under all occasions. And right now it's ramping up, so we got to give it its time to ramp up. Hold on. Wait for it. We're at 1505, 1503. So it's about the same, to be honest with you. Not too bad, right? So we go ahead and we remove the box. And there you go. Again. Oh, shit. I opened up the menu here. My bad. All right, cancel that out. And there you go. Let it ramp up, and it'll show you, again, a very similar story. You're sitting at a lower 1400 nits if you don't use the little box at the bottom to get the extra brightness. But give or take is about the same thing, right? Okay. Now we're going to go to the next window of brightness, which I'll do 10%, okay? Hold on. Computer locked. Got to open it again. Okay. And we're sitting at 1550s, give or take. Now, what we're going to do, cross-reference rtings.com at a 10% window. Got to go back to the brightness test because it got fucked up somehow. There we go. I don't think they have a 15% window, but yeah, the next window we'll have to look out for is a 25% window. Now, I also want to preface by saying rtings has always had lower numbers than me because of whatever reason. So when I show their numbers, my numbers were typically higher to begin with. I don't know what they do differently with their testing, but this is what I do. Okay? And you can see it very transparently. I don't need to hide or lie about anything. So if you open the box, it's going to dim down to 1130, give or take. You take the box away, right? And let's see what it goes up to. 1500, 1548. 1547. So the box actually hurts it at the whatever window percentage we are at now. Whatever I told you, I forgot. Short-term memory. But you clearly see it's working just fine. You're getting high amounts of nits on the Samsung Q8FN. It's a monster of a TV, like we all knew. So that's the 10% window. Okay. And again, just because we have to be dramatic and thorough, we cross-reference with the numbers rtings got. And their 10% was at 1390 something, and we were over 1500. Now we're going to do a 25% window, okay? Now let's see what we get. We're going to start off, it's at 1500 now, 1576, 1574, 75, and you see it goes up and down on a variable level, measuring the luminance, okay? Now, once we do that, then what we're going to do is we're going to also try that method I told you where I open up the box just to be thorough, just because maybe you can get extra brightness if you do this, maybe you can't. And I want to see the absolute peak brightness that this thing can kick off. So we give it a second to see if it'll go up and down, and it's not actually going up. It actually was hurt by the box. So that little box for the bigger windows actually is a detriment. So we lower it down, we close it out, and close it out again. And wait for it to go back up, where we'll be sitting back at the 1500 nit range. Now again, this is in real time, so data doesn't lie, people do. Okay? And right here, we're going to reference a 25% window on rtings.com. They have 700 on a 25% window. Don't know how the hell they got it that low. But mine's over 1,500 nits, right? Okay. Now we're going to go to 50% window. And the relevancy of, again, using that color checker display plus is that it's rated for, as I was saying, up to 2,000 nits, guaranteeing that result. We're not at 2,000 nits, so everything you're seeing, you can pretty much understand it's accurate. My settings aren't augmented in any real way. I turn the brightness down because brightness is black level, but that's it. Contrast is maxed out, so we're not doing anything to hurt the TV. So we're going to go into that little box thing because I do want to see where that's going to bring it. Right now we're at 635. Okay, 635. Okay, but let's see what happens if we go ahead and we just take that away and see where we'll be. 693, 693.5. So you see, it goes up, but they're about in the same ballpark now. So 693 is where it is. Now let's see for I believe this is a 25% window or whatever it is, 50% window. We're at 613, so we're higher there. Okay, literally across the board, all our numbers are higher than rtings, more or less outside of their 10%. And again, I don't know how rtings numbers are so low. I don't know if those are post-calibration measurements, which I do know that brightness tends to go down. They don't have a 75% window on rtings.com, but I'll give that to you anyway because it's here. And there you see it. It's in the 500s. This is how I get these numbers. I'm not just guessing, right? I'm not just pulling out figures out of the side of my neck. I'm using actual professional gear and equipment, ascertaining the performance and the luminosity of the display, and then I give it to you for free. Look, right there. We're at 527.5. Okay? Full screen of brightness. Doesn't get any more transparent than a full screen of brightness, right? 527. rtings got 554. So our number there is lower than rtings. But that's what I'm getting in real time. So as you clearly see, there's nothing wrong with the method of which I am doing things. I don't use my phone or some weird phone app to get this. These are the results that they are. People do not have to like them. I most certainly do not. But I also want to point out the fact that that's nerfed from what I got in, what was it, 2018 when I did this? Now, it took me a hell of a lot of time to scroll through my community posts, so I saved you that part of the video, but I scrolled through basically 6 years of community posts to find this one over 6 years ago, saying what? 100% proof of the 55-inch Q8FN being over 2,000 nits in dynamic mode. And there you see I'm using the exact same method 6 years ago that I'm using right now. I'll zoom in so you can see that, okay? You could clearly see I'm using the exact method of this video. And back then, I got 4317. And I believe that was on like a 10% window or something like that. So again, we're talking about like this kind of nonsense being ages ago. This is nothing new. I've been at this for a very long time, proving this and showing everybody this. Again, I'll show you. Again, I took a photo of it so it would save everybody a lot of time. But again, you could clearly see 6 years ago, it is what it is. Now, if you want to scrub through 6 years of my community posts to find the same information, by all means. By all means. But again, that was even back in the day before we even had Calvin offering quantum dot, and I did it with the red-green method. And again, you can clearly see over 2,000 nits. We didn't get anywhere near that. We're at like 1,500 nits. So on real time, I'm going to show you how, like, the percentage of brightness loss on the Samsung Q8FN. So let's say I did like, we'll say 1550, right? We'll say that's what it was. It went a little higher, lower, whatever. Okay. And then we're just going to subtract that from the 2343 peak, 0.17 that it was, right? Okay, that's the loss right there. So what we're going to do is put it in percent form. We're going to go, I think it was like 793 divided by 2343.17. It gives us that number. We're going to multiply that by 100. And that's the percentage, 31.5%, 0.53%. That's what we lost on the Samsung Q8FN in terms of its peak brightness to where it is now. So you can clearly see, even in 2018, there was a significant decrease in brightness from the initial measurements I did 6 years ago to what I just showed you now in 2025. So what are we even doing? Like, seriously, what are we even doing? So while videos like this are cute, they're not exactly accurate because he's not using professional equipment at all. I'm not joking. You want to see, let's do this right here in real time, okay? We can scrub through the entirety of the video, okay? I'm gonna click on this, go up. No, that's not gonna work. There we go. And at no point, I mean, you can scrub through all you want. There is, at no point did he break out software specialized for calibration. All I see is a phone running a lux meter. What even is that? What are you doing? Like, actually, what are you doing? This is not how you professionally measure anything. You're not even using actual, like, brightness ramps of different stimulus. You're using a 10% window. The only window of stimulus you used to try to prove that nothing was wrong was one window. I went through all of them to show a difference across the board with actual professional equipment. And you're measuring it with a phone. With a phone? What are we doing? Literally, what are we doing? I don't understand. I mean, do you know what a lux meter is for? A lux meter is for when you're in a photography studio or you're like in a specialty field where you need to adjust the luminance of the light output in the building or the output of your flash. It is not for the display output. Display output is not measured in lux. And if you think I'm bullshitting, I will show exactly where it says that. Okay, right there, lux light meter. You are not measuring lux, you are measuring nits. You are already using the wrong piece of equipment. If you were going to try to debunk somebody or make it like nothing has happened to your TV, no disrespect at all. I really don't care one way or another. You're going to need the right equipment when you start trying to assess a television, because playing in a service menu is cute, but I mean, this is not how you do it. You don't need to go doing all of whatever it is you're doing to try to prove or disprove that anything happened to the brightness. You cannot disprove that with a lux meter. And if I haven't made it abundantly clear with this video, I really don't have any other way of saying you need to be a professional when you do things, not a guy playing around in a service menu using the wrong piece of equipment. I don't even know what to say. You are going to need one of these. I will get up and tell you. Get you a test pattern generator. I'm using the Video Forge Pro from Portrait Display, okay? Video Forge Pro. It'll run you about $1,500. You're going to need this colorimeter, okay? Color Checker Display Plus. It'll set you about like what? $200-300 brand new. I'm sure you could find it used cheaper, okay? Your calibration software is going to be like $2,000, right? You're going to need one of these, which is the UHD benchmarking disc, okay? Go on Spears and Munsell or look it up. That this is what you're going to need. And you're going to have to understand how to use this stuff. Using a lux meter is not going to give you a professional's result. I don't mean to laugh at anybody, but it's laughable that like I open up my comment section today and I have a couple knuckleheads that are like, oh, the video that you made has just been debunked and disproved and there's nothing that has happened. And I'm measuring actual luminance. We're using nits. We're not using whatever the hell that he's using. I'm using actual professional equipment. There you see it, Kalman Studio. Okay, this is what you need if you want to start taking measurements. If this video found you guys, well, Smack a like on this video. I should not have to make videos like this, but I do my process in total real time for total transparency so that you can not only replicate it, but test it out with other Samsung and other brands that you have to see what they're actually taking away from you. Because in the last video, I showed you a 61% decrease. In this video, I'm showing you a 31 point something decrease. I swear, if I got the math wrong on that, I'm going to be so mad at myself because, again, I'm not a mathematician, but I think I got it right this time. But let me know in the comments down below as well. You guys get the point, though. I'm pretty sure I got it right, though, because, I mean, if you take the number that you had, that you subtracted, and then you do the division, and then I think you should be good. I think I left out the subtraction part the first time, and that's what fucked me up. But, again, I ain't been to school for doing fractions and shit for years, so cut a brother some slack. Come on now. You guys get what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to show you what you're losing, and I'm trying to hold you all to the golden standard of doing it yourself because they'll never tell you. A long-ass video, most will never watch. But if you watch the whole thing, you have the proof right here. This has 100% been nerfed by 31%. This has been nerfed by 61%. This is across a multitude of years. 6 years there, and now we're not even a year old, and this has already been destroyed. It's because people aren't doing these types of tests, and I guess they imagine we don't have TVs from years ago to compare those numbers. Go on a site like Artings that backs everything up. You'll see what you have. And if you're like me and you take your own testing data, you'll have numbers too. So hopefully this finds you guys well. Thanks for watching the #1 brand in honesty, and until the next video, miss me with that bullshit.